So I was scrolling through my newsfeed the other day and I came by this article. It shared a YouTuber's 3 tips on how he finally stopped gaining weight. So I looked through it a little more and clicked through to the video. I watched it. I thought it was an amazing video and I really enjoyed the 3 points that he made, which are listed right here. So I figured, hey, I would film a response video sharing a trainer, a coach's response to expand on a couple of the points that he made there. So jumping into it, this is my response to how I finally stopped gaining weight. And here's the 3 points that we're gonna touch on today. Let's dive right into it. So the first point is to get more rest. And I think nowadays with work, with life, with everything going on, it's very difficult for us to get enough rest. And not just mental, physical, emotional rest, but most importantly, actual sleep. Now, the 4 things that we always track for our members when they're getting started with any sort of program or routine is going to be their fitness, their nutrition, their mood, but also their sleep. And why those last 2 things? Because we know based off of the science and the research that has been done, the mood and sleep quality are going to really impact whether or not you're making good fitness and nutrition decisions. Whether that means that you're not eating foods that are as beneficial to your body, or completely disregarding your diet, or skipping your workout because you don't have the energy because you're not properly rested. I think sleep and rest in general are things that we really tend to overlook. And you might have experienced this sometime in your life as well. Let's say you had a rough day at work, something's going on in your life, maybe at that point you've been pretty solid on a regular workout routine and you just fall straight off, or you start eating like a lot of junk food or whatever it is. Again, making sure that we emphasize sleep and rest are things that I really want us as like a culture and a community to start focusing on a little more. And next one is to mix up your cardio. This one makes me really excited because I always say the same thing to people. Yes, you probably do need to show up to the gym and still get your workouts in, but as far as cardiovascular activities, they're great for you. However, for most people, when you show up and you're like, okay, I'm gonna run on a treadmill, jump on a bike, go out for a run, whatever it is, those tend to be activities that only a small segment of the population truly can say that they enjoy. And if you're not one of those people that can say like, I truly enjoy running or cycling or whatever it is, then you're really trying to force yourself into this place where it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel enjoyable for you to be doing these activities. And therefore, if it's something that you don't enjoy, you're only gonna be able to force yourself to do that for so long. Same thing that I talk about when I talk about nutrition. If you're forcing yourself to eat something or eat in a particular program or routine or way, you're only gonna be able to stick to that for so long. So instead, what I tell people is, yes, you need to work out, you need to show up to the gym, you need to get these certain movements in. They're foundational to just your general, like a basic human movement patterns. However, on top of that, if you're trying to get more physical activity in, find an activity that you truly enjoy. For me, that's badminton. I can jump on the court, we can be playing for 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 or more hours, and it doesn't feel difficult. That's the thing, you can be pushing your heart rate up, staying moving, like it's unbelievable sometimes. I kind of look back at the end of the night, it'll be like 11, 12 p.m. or no, that's midnight. Yeah, so it would be like midnight or 1 a.m. sometimes. And it's like, wow, I've been moving for 4, 5, 6 hours straight and it feels great, right? What if you were able to have that same feeling and still see results when it comes to weight loss, when it comes to health and well-being? I know being up till 1 a.m. playing a sport is probably not gonna be the most, the best thing for getting more rest. However, finding that activity is really gonna help you out in getting your cardio in and enjoying it at the same time, which I think is really, really important there. So the third and final point is going to be having a realistic nutrition plan, but also perspective. So he talked about how intermittent fasting was something that worked out really well for him. And I think before we start to look at any sort of diet or nutritional programs, we always have to come from the perspective of, does this program actually work for me? when it comes to things like your preference, your needs, your health, your well-being. Because a lot of the times programs are very cookie cutter, and then we as individuals might have preferences that may work or may not work with certain programs. Intermittent fasting tends to be one of those programs that has a very loose framework so that we can apply our own desires and needs into that framework so it fits for us as well, versus things like vegan or vegetarian or a carnivore diet. I'm not trying to bash on any of the diets out there, or keto, for example, was one that was super restrictive to the point where it was difficult to follow, not because of the program, but because of all the limitations that you would have to stick to be doing that. So when it comes to nutrition, I always tell people, like, if you look at all of the diets out there, they tend to play by the same rules. And if you can kind of dissect those and break it into a general framework, like what we tell most of the people that we work with here at Gimme CrossFit, when you're eating animal proteins, stick to lean proteins, okay? Eat a lot of fiber-rich carbs. When you're eating a meal, make it mostly fruits and vegetables. Let's shoot for at least 50% or more. Eliminate any processed foods. Cut out as much added sugars as you can. Very simple rules. But when you follow those, that's actually the framework to a lot of the most effective diets out there. But instead of naming it a certain diet or program or whatever you want to call it, it just comes down to foundational nutritional principles that we should be following on a regular basis. On top of that, one of the points he mentioned that I really thought was important is having the flexibility in there to do what you want sometimes, because sometimes, you know, especially beginners, when they get started, you're super motivated, you want to stick to the program 100%, but then all of a sudden you start feeling a little deprived. It's like, I like pizza, or I like cheeseburger. I like cheeseburgers, but I haven't gotten cheeseburgers in a while. That doesn't feel too good. And that's kind of going to build up as this pressure and just get higher and higher and higher until this point where you're basically going to explode figuratively and then binge out on whatever you can get your hands on. So instead of, you know, every once a week having this cheat day that ends up being 2,000 calories, 3,000 calories, or that kind of thing, I always tell people, let's try to stick to an 85-15 principle, okay? Otherwise, an 80-20 principle, I like to play it on the safe side. So 85% of the times, we have a set of nutritional guidelines and principles. Follow this for at least 85% of the time. Other 15% of the time, you want to grab a cheeseburger, go grab a cheeseburger. Like, does not mean go grab a cheeseburger, fries, a shake, and everything else, but like, give yourself the flexibility to enjoy yourself. It's completely okay. You're not going to destroy your entire diet just from having a little fun every now and then. The problem is when that 80-20 starts to flip, and 80% of the times you're not paying attention to your diet, and only 20% of the time you are. So actually, I have a big checklist of, it's not a big checklist, it's really simple, a simple way that we help our members try to stick to the four factors that we find are really important when it comes to health and wellness, which are your fitness, your nutrition, your mood, and your sleep. Those four factors, the way that we track them is a simple checklist. It takes a minute a day, and then you can kind of have a 5-minute review at the end of the week to see how you did, reflect on that, and then be able to make any conclusions like, hey, maybe you've been having a bad mood because of what's been happening at work or your life, or you haven't been sleeping a lot because you're on your iPad all night, and those things are impacting your fitness, your nutrition, but really simple yet powerful conclusions that you can come up with. It takes 10 minutes a week, 5 minutes or 1 minute a day, plus a little review session at the end of the week. I'll go ahead and include the download link and the instructions. It's on our website. I'll include the link in the description below in case you want to jump in there and grab it for yourself. But yeah, that was my response. I hope this was beneficial to you. If you have any questions that you would like us to answer, I'm also looking for more video ideas, so go ahead, let me know. Thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful, and stay tuned for next time.